that I've come up with. And then each speaker is going to answer 3 questions individually that's more catered to them and to what they do. If anyone has a question, please interrupt me, interrupt the speaker as well, just so you can ask the question that's right in your head at the moment. So the first question, I'm going to go to Elizabeth. And start with Elizabeth first. So we keep hearing about brand resilience, especially during these times, right? You go on Google and it's all about resilience, but not a lot of people know what that means. And strong brands with purpose will survive. So what is brand resilience, and to each of you, and how would you define this from your perspective? So defining something, I think, is the first step to everything. So what really is brand resilience? Elizabeth, goes to you.
Well, I mean, brand resilience is really to survive in the long term for a brand. And I think to do that, you have to meet 2 criteria. You always have to be relevant for your consumers or your customers. And you always have to differentiate in a strong way in relation to your competitors. And the key to doing that, I think, is to really, really understand your consumers. You know, what are the needs and wants of your consumers? What are their dreams? What are their hopes? What are they striving for? Where are they going in their lives? You know, what are they? What do they want to achieve? And then you have to think about how can you support that journey? How can you be meaningful in that journey for them? And if you are able to do that, then you become a resilient brand. And I think now, in this very sort of peculiar situation we are in, one example to think about is, of course, very obviously, that a lot of consumers are at home. According to Google, 4 billion consumers spent, their days at home. Mm-hmm. I think this was 2 weeks ago, but I'm sure it's still the same. And what are their lives all about then? And they're bored. They also spend a lot of things doing what we're doing now, being online, and they are also sort of taking part of so much more content than they normally do. And sort of how can you then sort of play a part in that? So say you are a hospitality brand, and of course this is an industry that's been hard struck now, but then how can you be relevant still in this situation? How can you make sure they have a good time with their friends online? How do you provide a playlist? Do you provide conversation topics? Do you provide good recipes? How do you make this a pleasurable and great experience for them, even though we are in these conditions? So you have to think innovatively from the perspective of where your consumers are. And I think that's what resilience brands always do.
Thank you so much. That's an excellent definition. Luna, from your perspective, because you do a lot of self-branding and it's more comes from the individual, from the person itself. How do you...
From a mindset, from a mindset perspective. Well, brand resilience from the self perspective is your bounce back. And it's part of you, it's part of the DNA of that bounce back, that you really take all that you can so you can grow. So that, what does that include? It includes having the right dialogue. Sometimes that dialogue with yourself is not going to be comfortable. It's overriding your personal fears towards change. Change was hard before and it's harder even now, but you have to do it. It's being honest and facing the hard truths about your brand, about your very purpose of what you've been doing or what you will be doing. It's your willingness to learn and unlearn whatever is not working for you, and if you're willing to commit and invest irregardless of the situation going on. It's really about that honesty. Why is your brand where it's at right now? Is it because of COVID, or is it truthfully because you were struggling before? Why that matters is because we need to look back at what we missed, what we didn't do to become more sustainable, and as Elizabeth was mentioning, to always remain relevant. And it's okay, no judgment, but it's good to connect to that truth and let some good come out of it once and for all.
Thank you so much. Paulina, because you see a lot of trends taking place, and especially with fashion and lifestyle, I think this is an industry that was a bit tricky when COVID hit, because all their events are physical events, and it's very hard to shift that and to network and to communicate with their kind of an audience. But how do you define brand resilience from that perspective?
Yes. So first of all, how I see brands. I think this perspective is like how you see the brand. So for me, it's like a living organism, and in the nature, everything like flows, changes. So this kind of situations like COVID, they can hit you anytime, like any kind of different situations. So this law can be also adapted to a business reality, and to be resilient for me is in this like changing environment is to have strong roots basically. So that means that you have to build the core of your brand like properly. So the brand resilience for me is defined through a clear sense of purpose, a sustained values, and forward planning. So I know what I'm gonna do in the next few weeks or like in advance. So to consistently deliver a long-term strategy. So a lot of people coming, there are a lot of people coming to me and telling like something is not working with my communications, like I have no clients basically, or like I'm losing my clients, and why, like I'm speaking about more entrepreneurship perspective. So then I found out that they really don't have a clear strategies. They first of all don't have a purpose, or it's not clear for the consumer, for the target group. So I mean, this is definitely something that you need to know and be prepared when you're starting a business, when you're setting a business, when you're starting a business. So then I think the businesses who are most actually negatively affected by this situation are these who just like they kind of didn't know what they were doing before, and didn't see even their future, like in the they couldn't communicate, they couldn't relate to their to anything, to the values they have, and that's a challenge for them. And even looking on trends, they can just do one-to-one. I mean, okay, so everybody are helping like the workers, like medical staff to have like to buy them some mask and protection and so on. But is it really a good thing for my brand to copy paste everything to what's happening right now? I'm not sure. So like mostly not. So you have to just come up with something that it's related to your brand, to your purpose, to be just authentic. And I think that people are buying this authenticity, and they follow the brands which are authentic. So this is the most I think important for me, to have this core built and to know who you are.
Thank you. Authenticity is definitely, it's easier said than done. That I completely agree with. Alex, how do you define brand resilience from Andra's perspective, from your perspective?
So to us, brand resilience means like an elastic band that's able to expand during crisis, yet withstand all challenges and keep rising. Mm-hmm. So I believe bigger brands are easier to survive unprecedented times because they have already been through a lot. They earned their reputation, which created this resilience.
I like that. I love the elastic band. It's very true. The more experience you have, the more you've been spread thin across some of the issues and crises that you've seen across time. So I'm admitting one more person. Okay, so the next question. I read this in an article and I really liked it. So purpose is king, and now more than ever, a brand must live and breathe through its core values in order to survive. It's all about survival now. That's the question, the scary question that we keep seeing. But why is purpose important, and how do you set a purpose that reflects who you are and what you do? I'm gonna give everyone a minute, so then we can just go into each question. Elizabeth.
Yeah. So purpose. I think to define a purpose for a brand, I think that's the sort of biggest question a brand has to ask itself, and that is, why?
Mm-hmm.
Why do we exist? Why are we on this planet? And this is not to make money. Money is a reward a brand gets for having a strong purpose that connects with consumers. And I think this is really also a trademark of resilient brand. They make money because they have a strong purpose.
Luna, how would you define brand resilience when it comes?
Well, in a minute, I would say the way I've always viewed purpose is it's a promise. And this promise is something that you have to keep at all costs. And as a leader, you need to guide your teams to do that too. It's because it's important because it's part of people's lives. It's part of your team's lives. It's part of the organization. It's part of everyone, all the customers out there. And your leadership really is what affects purpose and the way it's driven in alignment with your brand purpose. So employee culture gets affected, the commitment of employees and delivery of moments of truth during, before, and long after the customer journey gets affected. The engagement factor comes up. So clarity of purpose and communicating that is also crucial. How do you really implement that? Well, I have 10 more seconds left. Well, buy-in has to come from top down across the whole entire organization about this brand promise. It has to always be revisited. It has to be tailored. It has to be retrofitted. And it has to also, from an organizational perspective, be threaded through in all parts of your beliefs, values, policies, procedures. It has to make up the total of the culture of the organization. So it's like drinking water, basically. It's got to be there, and you've got to always have it. So that's the way I view it in a minute or less.
Thank you so much. And we're going to go into detail, especially on how your program can set that purpose for someone that's running a business. Paulina.
Yes, so it was well said actually before by Elizabeth and Luna. Like it's the why of why your brand exists. I mean, you have to communicate that to the customers, and it's definitely part of your image or something that creates the brand's personality, I think. So while I'm even creating my strategies, I always have it in my mind, it's the how to define the brand purpose. It's it has to connect with customers on an emotional level. So basically, said brands purpose helps to boost sales and as well as customers loyalty, which was said by Luna also. And so be always clear and transparent about who your brand is and why you do what you do, basically. So if you have a beauty company, then what is the promise you're selling? What you're selling? So for example, you're giving women confidence. This is the example of DAF, what for example DAF campaigns are doing, telling. You can see it in their campaigns. So be always authentic, and that builds trust of your customers. And don't say that purpose that your purpose is to help the people live in the, for example, sustainable way. If you're not actually, your brand is not doing this. So be very transparent about as well when you set the purpose. And I think this is my something new what I can add to what was already said.
Thank you, Paulina. I think Dove is such a good example. In every campaign, every ad or campaign that you've seen from Dove, you automatically trust the brand because their purpose is transparent and the purpose is clear. And it's also something that really reflects the normal person of a beauty standards at this time. It's not going overboard. It's staying leveled. And that's how it's always been doing it for the past couple of years. Alex, why do you think purpose is important, and how do you set it?
Well, I absolutely agree with this statement, purpose is the king. And as Andra, we always emphasize the importance of establishing a strong, irresistible brand narrative. But companies that can't live up to the stories they tell customers will unfortunately create their own brand failure. But a brand crisis can definitely be avoided when the company knows who they are and what they stand for, and when they continuously deliver what their customer needs, and they deliver the message that they believe in. They deliver their purpose.
Thank you so much. I like that you said narrative, because it's so hard, especially when a crisis hits. Everyone panics and everyone tries to develop a new narrative, or they rush to do whatever everyone else is doing because that is the right thing to do, but they forget exactly why their brand and what the purpose of their brand is. So they forego all of that and they straight away jump to find solutions, forgetting why they're doing things in the first place. I'm gonna go now. Just quickly, does anyone have 1 or 2 questions before we jump in? Did I mute everyone? Or I'll just wait until, yes?
Jafar has a question in the chat box.
Okay. Jaffa, I'm going to leave your question until after I've asked the questions, because this one is a question that would need more time after I've finished the second session. So I have that question there. I won't forget it. Okay, so let me start with Elizabeth. Elizabeth, you've taken an interest in leadership especially, and brand purpose. Those are the 2 cores. So how are these 2 concepts interlinked? How do you take leadership and brand purpose and make them integrate together?
Well, I think, first of all, I think brand strategy is something that should be on every management team's agenda and in their competence. And, it's really a core part of strategy, and the brand purpose of it is so particular. And then, as I said before, I don't think it's enough, just to agree on the brand purpose or the brand strategy and sort of write it down. You actually have to act it and live it and make things happen in accordance with your brand strategy. And as a leader, it is your job to show the organization, this is how we act the brand strategy. This is how we make our brand come alive. If one of our values, for instance, is we are a friendly brand, then as a leader, you are a friendly person. You have to live it, you have to act it, you have to be it. It's like Paulina was saying, it's about being authentic. And as a leader, people are always watching you. You have to be aware of that. So you have to really act the brand. That, I think, is very core part of being a leader in a branding organization.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Luna, you have a program, and I'm very well versed with this program, and it's gone through a lot of transformation, and it's something that I find very important, especially for people, especially for women as well, that are leading new businesses, and also for clients that have run businesses for many years but need to revisit their self-brand. You have a program called The Brand That Is You that demonstrates the value of maximizing purpose within their roles in the team. How does a business maximize purpose? Can you share a few insights with us on that?
Okay, I'm going to be transparent. That question on paper, each time I looked at it over the past couple of days, really threw me for a loop, because there are many ways to look at that question. And there are many ways to answer that question. So I finally got down to the point of saying, let me just start anywhere with answering the question, because there's a lot that goes into it. Now more than ever, and here's my big statement, I really believe in order to maximize anything, you have to know where you're putting your value sight on. Whatever you give attention to will grow in value. People, product, customers, the organization, the culture. So now more than ever, leaders must really be more human. They must put that into their style of managing people. The brand that is you helps leaders to facilitate that, because let's face it, quite a lot of leaders I've dealt with in different organizations are really into the transactional leadership style, really focused on the outputs and the money. And, you know, as Elizabeth was saying earlier, it's not all about money. That's the byproduct. That's, you know, going to be the outcome eventually. So you have to know, especially today also, and through the brand that is you, this is how we facilitate these tough questions, that both employees and clients, they need more trust and transparency now more than ever, so that they can feel like living the brand purpose. You have to deal with things from a micro level and a macro level. On a micro level, leaders really have to value the individuality of their people and their teams. They actually have to know who they are and some of their habits. They have to appreciate the diversity of experience that they can bring. They have to be aware of these things and know how and when to leverage this with inclusion, also to communicate with empathy. And I think developing people's mindsets on your teams is the biggest key. And the brand that is you really provides the tools to help leaders do that. Because I know any leader who's watching this will be saying, well, I have to do that too. Yes, you do. And why? Because it's going to make the biggest difference now and for the near future, and anytime anything comes up. Now through COVID, we know better. Last thing, I'm sorry to take up this time, but on a macro level, consistent, effective dialoguing with your leaders and your teams, top down, across the board, creating that conscious culture. How conscious is the culture you've been working in? Whether you're an entrepreneur, you know, whether you are, you know, working in an organization, or you are a consultant working for somebody, how conscious are you? This is really key. Last thing, and why it's key, is because values have to be felt by everyone. Excuse me. It has to be lived. It has to be breathed. It's like drinking water. So the brand that is you, see, I tried to put it all together. I worked really hard to do this. I hope it's clear. The brand that is you is about taking each and every person you have working for you and really looking at them as their own individual brands, developing them and putting them right behind your own brand purpose. That's how you do it. One last thing. I have a disclaimer. The reason why it's hard for it to happen is because a lot of leaders do not want to change because it's painful. They're afraid. But guess what? We've gone through COVID. Get over it. Thank you.
Thank you, Luna.
That was so inspiring. Yes.
Communication now is definitely difficult. We're transitioning, we're changing, our outlets are different. You have to get used to new channels. How do you think brands can adapt their marketing strategy that they've had for so many years during COVID-19 when events are changing daily, especially for lifestyle and fashion? I think that's such a crucial question that you can answer.
Yeah. So by the way, what Luna said as well, it's like totally what brands can like use, like the leadership, like it needs to be changed like now recently. So we are specialists who are also dealing with this difficult time. But first of all, we need to think about how brands can actually help the people. Like brands are like kind of advocates of in this moment. So how to protect our family, how to protect we need to inspire people how to protect their families and their health also, and to overcome this difficult moment. We have to start thinking about possibilities and adapt our sales models. That's why, for example, this often means introducing home delivery, all correction services, continuing your servicing, just adapting them to meet current needs. First of all, go online, because a lot of also companies were like not prepared for this. So what I observed, it's they were quickly preparing some new channels to work. and strengthening their digital platforms. So this is actually what you can do in this time. And because be where basically your customers are. So online, because basically it was a challenge for everybody to go out and having a normal life. And inform about what you're doing, how you're operating, how you're keeping them safe actually, because if you're, for example, a restaurant, how you and you actually can operate, but how you really you need to make your customers know that they're safe when they're ordering the meal from you. And that's also for a fashion brand as well, what we do in the back office, how we are preparing our purchase to be sent out. So are we implementing really this all strategies? So yes, be transparent about what you're doing with your customers. Again, transparency is very important. And also you can show what your company is doing for the society around. So basically you can provide some of the assistance for key workers. So it's a chance to do really a nice CSR, to do some nice CSR activities for your brand, if you were not doing it before, or if yes, start a new one, start a new initiative. That's, I think, that people really want to see the brands that are not only selling, but are in these difficult times are struggling kind of as well, but they are for people, they are for their customers. So this is for me the most important, how you can actually react.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we've seen a lot of companies, and especially from a PR perspective, I've seen a lot of agencies, companies, and brands come up with key resources for other companies as well. So it's not saying that we're struggling alone. Let's struggle together and let's provide our resources together, because we're all in the same sectors and industry. There's no competition now, because you won't survive alone. You have to survive together. Alex, my question to you. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so every company needs to have a planned strategy for normal operations, and normal is a word that everyone says there's no normal anymore. But not many have planned for these uncertain times. We've planned for crises. I get a lot of companies do have some crisis plans, but the situation in a whole is very rare. So you couldn't have planned for something of this magnitude. So my question is, what are the 5 crucial elements from your perspective that you think a brand needs to do to get through this whole pandemic?
Okay, so the 5 most crucial elements. I'm going to start with the technology for an obvious reason. Today's society doesn't go online anymore. We live online. And therefore, the online presence of all companies, be it startup, SME, or M&As, is extremely important, the online presence. Since all businesses shifted to a digital world due to lack of physical contact, so there is no doubt that we have to take our products and services online.
That's an excellent point. She said not go online, but be online. You are online. Okay.
And also, most of the customers and consumers, they enjoy the comfort of their home to sign up for services and shop online. So let's take advantage of it. Mm-hmm. It's a win-win situation. And now every company needs to plan also their digital transformation, which also includes communicating with their clients through online digital channels. And there are several tools that exist for this. The most common ones are the artificial intelligence and chatbots, corporate emails, business text messages, or the WhatsApp business profile. That's about technology. The second point, I would mention downsizing your channels. Because in a crisis environment, from a PR perspective, your company's online presence is not about maintaining your presence anymore, but about improving it and meeting your clients where they are at. So we can help you experts can help you make the strategic decisions on which communication channels to double on and which ones to leave behind, because it differs from company to company. And just to go on, my third point would be the human touch, which is very important. Never leave the human touch out of your marketing. They say more than 70% of consumers trust the opinion of online influencers more than their friends. Now that's interesting. Customers also love to hear real life stories and personal experiences. So what's the moral of this? We have to appoint brand ambassadors who will speak for the company. These brand ambassadors can be also some of your team members, but it's very important to make your story personal. So show your face and get out there.
Thank you.
Number 4, I would say, is my favorite, thought leadership articles, in other words, opinion articles. It's about positioning your company as a leader in the industry, but you have to know that this is not for just the reason just to take advantage of the crisis and score some publicity. If you will just randomly write about anything, that's not going to work this way. So again, we have to plan and strategize. So let's publish short opinion articles that genuinely lead the community through the crisis, and let your expertise ease the way for other companies and individuals to survive and stay in the market. Your company has to become a go-to platform in your industry for the latest trends.
That's a very important point. And in your 5th point.
Thank you. Okay, the last one is fairly linked to opinion articles, in a way that it also gives back to the community. We always suggest to grant your products or services for free for a limited time, especially during these crisis times. If you have great solutions that your company needs right now, this is the right time to provide it for a free of charge. Do you run a service that facilitates, let's say, social distancing, or do you provide tools and services that have online learning? Well, share a piece of the pie. People need your help the most right now. So I would say these are the 5 most crucial points, elements that can help your brand survive through the pandemic.
Thank you so much. Those were excellent 5 elements for sure. And I think because we do a lot of thought leadership, if you genuinely do what you do best and you want to lead the community, the best way to do it is to create content that is genuinely created by you. So that's one of my favorites from the top 5 elements that she's mentioned. I'm going to go back to Elizabeth and ask, so if that is the strategic aspect of a brand, leadership and brand purpose, right? How do you do it in practice? Now, it's so easy to say, we have a great purpose, we have great leadership, you should check out our brand's innovation team, our campaigns, look how amazing they look. But how do you actually take that into practice? Now, I think, Elizabeth, you've done a lot of that. You have your 360 innovation programs, you've led big teams. How does that happen from A to Z?
It's so much fun. So I love to tell about it. And I'm a great believer in creative collaboration with multi-skilled teams. And I was actually listening to 2 poets discussing yesterday, and they say, the tighter the format is, the higher your creativity. And I totally agree with that, and I'll tell you why. And so just to give a little background, I think for a brand to be really innovative and to really also live the purpose, you have to think 360. That is, you have to innovate all the touch points the brand has, both externally, product, services, communications, route to market, etc., but also internally, how the brand is acting internally. And then to do that, what I really like to do is pull together a team across the organization, from marketing, from sales, from production, from product design, from R&D, from everywhere, and also from different, I have worked internationally, so from different markets, because you need the customer perspective from different markets. And then you bring this team together, and then you have a tight format in how you work this. You do your analysis in terms of customer needs, in terms of future insight, in terms of where is the industry going, etc. And then you have a tight format for how you innovate, and then you create concepts And those are not only products, they are services, they are route to markets, they are, you know, all of those things that I mentioned. And because you have a type format, and importantly, because you have knowledge from across the company, you get such innovation power into this. And I've done it several times with you know, totally different you know, industries, totally different teams, and it works every time. As a leader, my job is to be really good at facilitation, and it's to create this inclusive culture. Everybody's skill counts. There are no such thing as a bad idea in the ideation phase. That comes later, you know, then you select and so on. And you have to have a very clear process in your mind in how you are going to do this. And yeah, it works. And then you create this innovation roadmap for your brand. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. I think the three keywords that I took from this answer: facilitation, inclusive culture, and having an innovation roadmap. So you have to plan, you have to facilitate between different people, and you also have to create a culture where everyone's comfortable to contribute.
Yes.
Luna, my second question to you: we're all in uncharted waters, and not all brands survive challenging times. We've seen big brands that we've always known completely fall and shatter to the ground, which is scary for small brands, right? As a small brand, when you see a big brand go down, you're like, if they don't survive, how will I? So we have to be prepared for change. Brands have to be prepared for change. So how can we make our businesses be more adaptable? How can we embed this idea in our heads that whatever is possible, I'm going to face it head on?
Okay. You have the best questions.
Thank you.
There's no escaping a clear answer. So let me just say that. So thank you for this. Okay, I'm up for the challenge. Here's the thing. And based on my experience, globally, locally, it's all over. You know, I've seen the same thing. In order for any business to adapt, who runs these businesses? It's the people. So people need to learn how to adapt. It has to be part of their belief system. It has to be part of who they are and even how they live, because that's what they bring to work. Okay. So people nowadays, with all that's going on, might be way too stressed to be thinking in this way, and really just focused on, let me see what I could do to survive. Let's make that money. I got to pay the rent. I've got to do this. I got to pay the school term fees, and I have to homeschool, and it's tough. So you may need support. It's out there. Sometimes it's free. Sometimes you do have to put a little something in to pay for that, and that will have a lot of value for you. And there's so many resources online for you to help focus on more of a mindset that's wealthy, meaning it's possible to have better health, better finances, improving your relationships. So really focusing on that mindset aspect starts at home, okay? And how you allow the imprint of the situation to take you up or take you down. It's really going to be up to you. I hope I'm not pissing anyone off, but if I am, I like to trigger people, because within that, you're going to find your answers for yourself. Now, along with what I've just said, let's pack that with, once you have somebody you can talk to and mind map or brainstorm with, realign with your own values. And how are you backing these values in your home life with the actions, whether it's health or finance or in, you know, your social relationships with others? It's stopping the procrastination, stopping the perfection, stopping the controlling, letting it all go, and do what you really can do that is a priority, making that the familiar. Why is change so hard? Because it's not familiar to people, and people don't really like that, but you're going to have to do it. And once you start doing it, movement is a beautiful thing. It's like angel tonic. Lastly, definitely educate yourself. I had to really educate myself. I'm very lucky. I have my angels all around me, teaching me about digital media, teaching me about what's the latest trends, the marketing, the sales, you know, what are the key vehicles to take what you have and really put it out there, but leave that lasting impression as well. So it's really important that you ask for help. And like I said, some of it can be free, as Alex was mentioning, to offer things for free, and there's thought leadership going on. So seek and you shall find. And but really the best things are worth paying for. Okay.
Thank you so much. No, I
I
like
think I've said it.
triggering
Okay.
people is a must for sure. Every business, every brand, every individual needs a trigger at least once or twice in their life to kind of make them reshift and refocus, right? And I think, Luna, you do a good job at triggering. I know that personally. Paulina, my second question to you. How do you see brand equity during COVID-19? Will it shift the brand's image? Will that whole thing change? Will we see it be the same?
Well, definitely, it is a chance to change the image positively, and to show your brand values, to show your sense of purpose, which was said before. And it's a chance to make your brand, if you really do great with your communication, if you plan it well, to be more likable, more trustable, more creative within these changes.
Mhm.
So yeah, to show like how the brand answers to customers for these difficult moments. Yeah. And definitely it's a chance for, like I said before, CSR activities to come up, like, and to happen to every brand, and that's basically a very good chance to be more authentic, and to create the brands that are close to their customers. And that's the biggest I think change, that the shift that we can observe. And yeah.
Okay, I can see that Paulina, you make a good point that there's definitely a shift of, okay, this is my brand, this is my service, I'm trying to make money by selling these services. But now you're not just selling services and products, you're actually connecting with your community, because sometimes we forget to do both. And everyone thinks that you need to do CSR once a year or have 2 CSR programs per month or something. You plan that. But CSR, I think, is definitely something that is ongoing. It doesn't have to be something huge and expensive. It has to be embedded with what you do. You always have, at the end of the day, your products and services are for people. And this crisis is where you have to connect with the people more than ever. Alex, my second question to you, from your experience, we keep hearing people say that the PR sector especially is not going to be normal anymore. But how do you see it? How have you seen it change? Because there are things that have changed that will never go back to how they were, because it's better. So how do you see the sector in normal times versus now?
Okay, well, it's a good question. I think, well, in normal times, the focus was more on maintaining clients' presence in both online and offline platforms, being present at exhibitions, on ceremonies, and so on. But since then, the PR focus has shifted to helping the communities, and I emphasize on helping the communities. Regarding Andra PR, during this time, we develop strategies that give back to the public. For example, as I mentioned previously, we create thought leadership articles, and we come up with campaigns that promote free services. And I must say, in crisis like this, both PR companies and clients need to be adaptable. So both parties, we need to adapt to the change. And this is the key to overcome the challenges. Be more present online, shift your products and services online, launch virtual office hours where you can consult new and existing clients. I think this is the change that definitely, the shift that went through.
We've definitely seen virtual office hours be the best, because not a lot of people know how to be there virtually. We've all had these online tools for such a quite a long time, but we weren't forced to be on them all the time. But now we have no choice, so everybody's trying to reinvent their messaging on a completely different channel. It's not that the channels weren't there, it's just that we've never seen ourselves using these channels quite this often. The last question to each speaker, and I have questions in the chat. I'm going to go through every question. We're just going to go through the last couple of questions because we have an extra 10 minutes for Q&A. Elizabeth, can you give us one of your best examples? So you've mentioned facilitation, inclusive culture, having an innovation roadmap. Can you give me one example of brand and leadership in practice that you've dealt with?
Sorry, can you repeat that? I didn't hear the last.
Can you give me one example? Because I know you've done a lot of programs, especially your 360 innovation programs, and you've said that inclusive culture, innovation, and all of that come together. Can you give us an example to take away?
Yeah. I mean, so a concrete example of an output of such a program, I can give you. I worked in the lighting industry for a big international lighting company that, provide lighting for offices, for schools, for hospitals, etc., for sort of public environments. And I did with my team a big 360 innovation strategy program, and in the way I just explained, bringing people with different competencies to create new concepts. And this was sort of a very traditional business-to-business company with a very sort of traditional sales approach. And one output was that we wanted to have more access to architects and lighting designers, and not only the installers. And of course, lighting designers and architects, they are very creative people. And, we didn't want to bore them with this same old PowerPoint death kind of situation that the sales force were traditionally using. So we created a new concept, and that we called Fagerhult, which was the brand, Fagerhult Creative Lab. And this was a workshop where we invited architects and lighting designers, and it was sort of like a game where we used playing cards, and they were to identify, okay, we are now creating, say, an office for a PR consultancy company, like you guys. And then we have to think about, okay, so who's going to be there? What kind of target group are they? What kind of atmosphere do we want to create? What kind of lighting do we want to use for this? And so these people together with us, they co-created the lighting, and this is what they love. This is what makes them tick. This is why they have these kind of jobs. And so they created this lighting solutions. And while doing this, they sold our products to themselves. It was so good. And the company I worked for, initially they were like, oh no, but we can't do this. And I said to them, I promise you it's going to work. But okay, let's have a trial run with some customers that we really know, that we can make a fool of ourselves with. So we did that. It went brilliant. And then we did, I think when I left the company, we had done hundreds of these across the world.
Wow.
And it really, really worked. So it was a very simple solution, but a very different approach that no one in the lighting industry used. So that's a very concrete example of what sort of came out of such a session. And then, it was not expensive. It was just a creative solution.
Thank you so much. I love that. It's because when we hear about the regular sectors like the lighting industry or oil and gas, manufacturing, automatically as consumers we think they're boring. But every company has a story, and every person that works there has studied for this major. They have a creativity that comes with them. I think every sector does have their own creative touch to it, but we've seen only certain companies know how to communicate that well. So thank you so much for that example. That's
and if I just may add, I think also what people who have always worked in sort of B2B sector, they don't think of their customers as actually human beings with emotions. They think of them as only rational beings, and this is not true. You have to understand, what makes these people tick. And that's also when you actually get paid better. So, it's a good thing.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. That's an excellent answer. Luna, my last question with you. Okay. Working with your clients, and I know that most of them, which is a very important part. Sorry, I'm just going to mute one more person.
Inshallah.
Okay. I know that most of the people that you work with have small businesses. Most of them are women. I was one of them. But Mike, how can you share, and I know this is a very authentic question that you have to might share a little bit personal things, but how do I frame it? Sorry. I wrote it in such a good way. Yes. Can you share the comments?
It's there.
And how have they pivoted to respond to this time? So I know that they had certain roles, and I'm sure some of them came up to you in panic saying, Luna, we've been working on this plan for such a long time, and now we either have to throw it out the window or I may not exist anymore. How do they pivot? How do you help them pivot?
Okay. This has been both psychological and economical. I would say that that is, keeping that in mind, I had to start with myself. Before I can answer what I did to work with these women, I have to say what I did to be well enough to work with them, because we're all, as I told you before, we're all in the same storm. We're all in different boats, but we are in the same storm. So I had to really understand myself first, go through the self-love, self-hate moments, really focus on my mindset and the dialogue I was having, learn to let go, and really, really, really know that this is probably going to last for a while, but there's still a future. And you've got to see further ahead, and whatever you do now will prepare you for that. So I started with myself, because, you know, I'm a service provider. What I give to others belongs to me. So it's very important that I am well enough to work with them. And when I'm not, I let them know, you know, I'm not doing so well. I had to be very authentic with them. Now, everyone's lives have been affected. We, you know, my entrepreneurs and the women I'm working with, you know, they, we're all doing homeschooling. So we're taking about 4 hours, 5 hours of our day to be the perfect teachers. And, you know, when in reality, we're, you know what I mean? Because that's what happens. It's like, I surprised my own self, the way I was teaching my daughter initially, and the lack of patience I had. And, you know, that was tough. So as soon as I learned to let that go and let go of the perfectionism, I was able to also coach others, you know, mentor others to do the same. But homeschooling has been major. Fear of survival, money, major. It brings up your old baggage also that you may have had in childhood. So you are not only living COVID, but you're reliving old stuff. So this is what came up. I have a lot of single moms. They're single parenting, excuse me. I'm single parenting. I also have mom entrepreneurs who are the major breadwinner, you know, the primary breadwinner in their household, and they can't work. So, you know, or they haven't been able to. Well, now they are starting to, but all these things really put everybody's value into question. And already as women, we do that anyway. So this has really been a big dump truck. But the beauty is that within that dump truck, there's something shiny, and it's what we have, and it's our potential. And as long as we manage ourselves, we'll be okay and get the right support, which is what, you know, my clients have been doing. And how do they respond? They face the facts that this is happening, and they build their faith in the intangible, letting go and doing a lot of self-care, less judgment, less expectations, really focusing on what the imprint is doing to themselves and the family, and letting go of a lot of things. Some clients had to stop what they're doing completely, change their jobs, or not even work, but we will reposition them to get work, because everybody still has value. And as soon as you know that you all still have value, you're going to be okay. Okay. So that's pretty much where I'm coming from. And this is what causes everyone to become more resilient, and I think better than ever. We'll be ready for next time.
Thank you so much, Luna. It's great to know you have to shed some skin, and sometimes you have to shed a lot when it comes to these situations. But the outcome, the process is painful, but the outcome is definitely.
Yes.
Paulina,
pain doesn't last forever. Sorry, pain does not last forever.
No, exactly. And I love to reiterate what you said. I love the example that you've used. We're in the same storm but different boats. So I wanted you to come up with that again in the session. Paulina, your last question. What do you think are the 3 top challenges for PR or branding professionals, especially at this time?
So actually, for me, in general, it's like how to really operate now. I mean, our job is to meeting people mostly personally, face to face, and meeting journalists, meeting clients, thinking about new strategies, discussing everything, presenting. So you cannot like present like kind of like I was thinking like it's very challenging to actually present the product over the phone, like. You know, you or over a Skype call, but yeah, so this is the thing that we are really struggling now. Yeah, when like first of all, how to like set the meeting and like organize the space for a conversation between us, like both sides. I mean, restaurants are closed. There is no like even possibility to organize anything now. So I think that you have to really be creative about how you can speak with media, with your clients, and create this kind of like a comfort space for your work. And for everybody it means something different. So the brands and me as a professional, if the client's coming to me, like I have to launch this product, and how I can present it, how I can present it to the audience, like first for the media, and so we will definitely, this is a challenge for me and the clients to come up with something great. What else? Like you can also support your clients. That's the challenge, like to just inspire your clients how to do different things, like in their communications and so on. So how to support them in this difficult journey. And maybe there is something like you can prepare like a handout, like with a bunch of ideas, how they can thrive this difficult times, like. So and first of all, like educate also your clients about what's coming next. And you have to be actually you have to kind of think, bring the solution to your clients and inspire your clients. So you have to be prepared always for that. You have to be the greatest support for your clients. So and this is a challenge. We have to all be ready.
Thank you so much, Paulina. I think a lot of people, like I said, they jump to find the solutions, but they don't really think that, okay, now I have to actually, the hardest thing is changing the mindset of your clients. I've never been online. I've never done these activities. I don't like to do trial and error. It might ruin my brand image. You have to change that mindset to make them be a little bit more flexible, create them to be a good elastic band sometimes. Alex, my last question to you, from Andra PR's perspective and the things that we've been doing together over the year and a half, what insights can you share since you've been working on several brands with different sectors? I know that we've gone through a lot of changes. What can you share with us?
Okay, well, since we work with clients from different industries, startups, fintech, education, real estate, I can say that my points refer to all. Industry doesn't really matter here. First of all, you have to understand the client's offering in a way that how you can help them make a shift or promote services that are more relevant at this time. Most importantly, both clients and us, as I mentioned earlier, I think we have to adapt to change in order to make their brand stronger for what is happening and what is yet to come. During this time, we also conduct brainstorming sessions more frequently than before. Yeah, that's true. Definitely, I can say think outside the box, find what new innovative ideas you can come up with. We've been doing this a lot since it's turbulent time. And I can say we also go by trial and error for online activities, because we have some traditional clients and most of them haven't been online to engage, but only because of necessity. So it's our job to turn their mindset around it and find out what works best for their clients. These are the sectors. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Necessity. Exactly. You're not, if you're there for necessity, and when any crisis hits, you'll find yourself completely lost, because you need to be doing things genuinely, because so if anything else happens, you're already there. You've already understood the process. All right. I know that we've gone a little bit over. I've muted some people just because of the background noise. I'm going to go back to the questions. I have 3 and I have a couple. If anyone wants to comment as well, I'll just do that after the questions really quickly. Jafar has asked us a question. How can we convince business owners the importance of why and finding their purpose, whereas their driven is much, where their drive is how much they can earn, and that's their main and only compass is their business. Okay, so basically his question is, how do you convince them from being transactional to completely being a purpose-driven business that really asks the question of why? I'm gonna unmute Jafar. Jafar, sorry, I can't unmute you for some reason. Jaffa, can you unmute your, oh, there we go. Can you unmute? Oh, there we go. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Is there a specific person that you want this question to be answered? I'm guessing it can go to Luna or Elizabeth.
Yeah, because first of all, thank you for this opportunity. My question for almost everybody, because based on my experience with a couple of clients, they all, when I sit with them, they don't care about the purpose more than facts and figures. You know, what I label them like traders more than business owners or entrepreneurs, and there's difference between traders and entrepreneurs that are risk taker. Traders that's looking for facts and figures. That's it. So how we can shift the mindset from traders to entrepreneurs? As simple in simple form, like this. Yeah. That's
Luna, do you want to take that on?
I will do my very best. First of all, hi Jafar. That is a wonderful question, and it's the question I always had to ask myself when I was working in learning and development in an organization, and then became a consultant going around to organizations. I used to try to convince, and then I realized something. You shouldn't have to convince anyone to make the change. You are in the room with them for a reason, and it is really to frame their reality of what's going to happen if they don't. So it's more of the influence factor behind anything. And of course, I'm not going to be able to go deep dive into this, but when we do our thing at the end, I'll be happy to, make my offer and have you and we could talk about it offline, because I can give you some insight into what I've done. And as a disclaimer, there were many companies before when I was working with them, they said they wanted to change. They hired the people to come in to do the change. And then, this change doesn't feel right. What are we doing? No, you have different age generations you're dealing with. They have different ethics. They have different values. They look at work ethic so differently. The time that you should be working, you have your millennials who have a different way of doing things. Your traditionalists, which most of these legacy companies have, traditionalists, they have their way. And honestly, until you can align these, they will collide. So that's what I have to say about that. And maybe Elizabeth definitely could add more to it.
Elizabeth, do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, I can totally agree on what Luna said, and I think at the core you can't change another person. The person has to want to change themselves.
Yeah.
And I think I'm also a trained coach, and what I do is I ask people questions, just like Luna said, and those questions are sort of meant to help the person to find this need for transformation or change. But if they don't see it, they don't see it. And some companies are sort of totally tuned into KPIs and numbers and figures, and that's all that counts. And it might work for them. But I guess also it depends on sort of what your competition is like, and and I think in these days when people or organizations are transforming into digital new world, they're going to meet new competition. So it's better to start asking yourself these questions. That's my experience, at least. But if people don't want to do it, they don't want to do it.
Can I add to that?
Yes, sure.
Let us take this as the opportunity and have the belief that all these organizations who previously are the organizations that need to be convinced, let us hope for the greater good that they're going to realize now more than ever they don't have a choice.
Yeah.
It's either your organization is going to dismantle itself little by little. That's a fact. That's a reality. So these are one of the examples. But Jafar, this is a huge opportunity. It is very possible now more than ever.
I agree to that.
Yeah,
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. There's a book I want to share it with you. Maybe I think it will be adding value. The book is
Wonderful.
Selling with Noble Purpose: How to Drive Revenue and Do Work That Makes You Proud by Lisa Ere McLeod.
Oh,
Very
Selling with
interesting.
noble purpose. I hope everyone heard that. It's
I love that.
recommended.
Yeah, I already added in the chat for everybody.
Okay.
Thank
Excellent.
you so much.
Thank you.
I will add
By
that
the
to my
way,
Audible and Amazon.
this session is all recorded, so everyone can have access to it.
Great.
Rena, your question. Rena Tabara has asked us a question. How do we adapt our brand during COVID, and how does that change our story? And how can we make this an advantage? Who wants to tackle this question first?
Well, hi, Rana. How are you? You there?
Oh, wait.
Rana, are you there?
I just unmuted it. How are you?
Well, hello there. It's so nice to have you. Okay, Rana and I actually, Rana, we work together. Is that okay that I said that, Rana?
I wasn't
Can you
just with it.
I'm sorry.
But
Hello. This is Rana Tabara. She is the designer extraordinaire of Nanusha brand, and she's quite a woman.
Thank
I have
you
to say.
for being here.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for having us.
So now you have to ask the question again because I forgot it.
Okay. The question is how to make COVID an advantage, because you can not think of it as downfall for business.
I'll just read the question because we can't hear you that well. But basically, the first part of the question: how do we adapt our brand during COVID, and how does that change our story? Because you're adapting, I'm guessing that changes your whole narrative as well. And how can we make this an advantage for ourselves, so not to lose all of that? If any of you guys can go for it.
Well, she's in retail, so I think that this is like something that each of us can help answer because she has her online retail platform. Mm-hmm. So, and I do work with her. Rena is one of the entrepreneurs I've been working with to bring her brand forward, but by working on herself. So maybe Elizabeth or Paulina, would you like to tackle this?
Yeah, I mean, I think
no pressure.
Say that I mean, we are in a huge and unseen crisis, and of course, it's really affecting big companies and country economies. So it's not an easy thing, and I think to have the answer, that's kind of getting the Nobel Prize in economics. So, it's a very difficult question, but my experience from previous sort of downturns in markets and financial crisis and so on, that is to focus and also to, again, I come back to really understanding your consumers. Mm-hmm. And I also happen to know the Nanusha brand, and I happen to love it.
Thank you.
Me
Sorry,
too.
I got my earphones now.
And I think this brand really has a true purpose, and I think this purpose is more important than ever. And I think it's a purpose that has a meaning globally.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. It means a lot to me.
So
before COVID, even before COVID, I have a purpose and a story. And the thing is, I'm able to relate with people because I feel like my story is so shareable and, as you say, relatable. It's an emotion that I want to convey, and it's an experience I want to share with people. And regardless of what's going on, I continue to be true to myself, true to my brand. And as Luna taught me, the brand is you. I mean, if I were just to create fabrics, designs, shapes, silhouettes with colors and symbols, as I do, without this true purpose, without the story behind why I do it, how it makes me feel, how I can make others feel when they wear my fashion or when they even just decide to look at it even, there would be no essence of a brand. Yeah, so I find that very important, that even during COVID, it shouldn't change. You just said, stay focused, stay on those train tracks and just keep going forward. I know it's easier said than done because some people, I mean, as I said, aren't in retail. They don't have products. They have services. Also an advantage, as you said earlier, Fatima, it's the service can be given for free. It's your time. For me, it's different. It's retail. It's time and effort and material and resources. So for me, there's a lot more to juggle around. I give 50% off I did a 50% off in Eid. I did 50% off in select items before Eid in Ramadan. And now I have 50% off in one category, which is the kimonos. I want to offer my customers something. I know they're going through difficult times. And at the same time, I want to be just and fair, but I also want to continue my brand.
Of course.
You know, and so that's what I've been doing.
It's a tough balance. But also Sahar, thank you for your comment. I'm just going to relate it to Rena. The 100 fastest growing organizations found that they all have a clear, defined purpose. And back to going to purpose. If Nannusha brand stands for a very strong purpose, and if I'm wearing that kimono or that material, and I know that you're an authentic person, and I'm wearing something that's made by an entrepreneur, and something that also, if you're a person that calls your clients, hey, how have you been doing? I sent you, for example, this new material, or I designed a new kimono that reflects the times, or you design things for your clients for their thing. Oh, hello there. So if you have that purpose, and if everyone understands it, then your product or whatever you're offering is something that I'm going to cherish, and I'm going to keep it with me. So no matter what the struggle is, I know that I still want to buy that from that certain brand, because
Absolutely.
I know that it's helped by me. It asked how I was doing. It made material for me. So retail is definitely different.
And one thing that I was thinking about is I think now in this situation we're in, you see a lot of brands sort of adding things to help other people. And I mean, you were saying you're doing a 50% off, and I would, I'm a bit against taking the price down because it reduces the value of your brand. but
I'm trying to help and connect with the consumer. I'm trying to
very kind of you. But I was also thinking, you see a lot of brands doing other things out of kindness. So for instance, I have this friend who lives in London and who's a yoga instructor, and that's her business. And of course now, she can't have classes in life. So she started doing Zoom classes. And in the beginning, she didn't want to be paid. And instead she asked all of the to donate money to Doctors Without Borders.
Wow.
And of course, and then
Great.
she then started to say, okay, so now anyone who wants to donate to me are free to do so. And then, of course, we all did, because we want to support her business. So, and I think your purpose is also something where, maybe you yourself can be like an inspirator or a guide to sort of women who wants to empower themselves, So just thinking of how you do it.
I actually wanted to incorporate, I can't connect it on my platform, unfortunately, directly, as the resources will not be pushed over into that charity. But I wanted to mention that I was going to donate like 5 or 10% of my sales, which would be at full price if I were to do that, to the immigrant workers in Bahrain who are obviously shackled and sitting all together in corners and huddled up, lost jobs, don't have money, nothing to eat. So I think that would be a good thing, once my 50% off is over, I will definitely market that.
Yeah, and also I think always when you think about sort of CSR or charity work, you should also think about how to pick something that really supports your purpose, that really is interlinked with your purpose.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For me, it's giving back. It's not more like selecting the right charity. It's more like just making sure that my brand is giving back.
Tim had a comment for you, Rana, as well. I'm gonna unmute Tim because I feel like it's good if you explain it yourself, Tim. There we go. And Tim,
hello.
you said to start your podcast. Can you give us a little bit of insight from your end?
Okay. Well, Rana knows I've talked to her briefly about this one before
Tim?
as well.
Okay, there he is.
I've just got my mic on.
Come on, Tim.
No way, I'm not putting I'm on my exercise gear. Jeez.
Oh,
it's okay. I'm in
Be
my
authentic.
I think, like you were saying, I think Elizabeth was saying, things you can do differently as well to add to your brand, by starting something like a podcast or a video cast, similar to this thing that you're doing right now with Fatima, with, Andra, which is, sharing value.
Thought leadership.
Doing it. So I think, by doing a podcast, it will help you reach people that may not necessarily, be looking for a particular product, but they'll connect with your
my
message
values.
and
Yes.
your value and everything.
Absolutely.
And by that, they will then understand the meaning behind your products. And so they'll be more inclined to go and have a look at your shop, and then regardless of whether there's a sale on or not, and obviously, so I think that's an idea. And obviously you're a natural, you speak really well on the camera, and something I've noticed. So I think that
thank you.
Really well at it.
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Tim.
I just want to add something about brands like Nanusha. There are so many different people that, yes, true, let's be very honest, they're making kaftans and outfits. But quite frankly, when you look at the market, in this particular market, a lot of these brands, they don't have actual purpose. They're hobbies. And you were at one time doing it as a hobby.
I met you.
Yeah. Okay, but you've transformed that, and you've taken the reins, and you've now shifted into a brand with purpose, and that's what's built to last. So I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you. I wanted to thank personally, since we're online, Luna and Tim Murray for helping me progress my brand in the way that is progressed. And I'm so fortunate to have planned doing this website before the COVID hit. And Tim and I have been working hard daily on this. And I think it's been so exciting. And every day I thank Luna in my heart and my mind for all the things she taught me and how to progress. And we are good friends now. So it's great to see you.
This is awesome.
Thank you so much.
I'm glad that this is communicated online.
Yay.
Yeah.
I know that we're so over time, but I'm happy with the conversation. I don't mind. Does anyone else want to say something or have a question from any of the audience here before I just end it with a 1 minute to each speaker? This is recorded, and if you have any questions, I will be posting it on Andra PRBH is our Instagram handle. I'm going to be posting some of their programs, how you can connect with them. We're going to share some of the insights, and I'm going to send everyone at the recorded session of this, so you guys can have it with you as well. But does anyone have any questions before we have a advice?
Hi guys, I just wanted to add something. I'm Fatma's sister.
Hello.
Hi, Fatma's sister.
Where are you? We need to see you.
I'm in the living room downstairs.
Oh, okay.
So I'm in Bahrain. Obviously, I live in Canada. I don't know if he's mentioned anything about that, but I feel, and I just wanted to add something. Just something out there in terms of like customers. I work in Hollister. I'm a manager in the store, and when we talk about customers, I feel something that we are focusing on. I mean, a lot of the big brands are focusing on new customers, offering free delivery or incentives and stuff like that. But however, I know we see like a major shift in marketing right now, like focusing on current customers, like pushing kind of the message, like existing customers coming first. So I think it's an excellent approach for long-term growth, just because if it costs, maybe from a business perspective, it costs far less to keep an existing customer than having a new one. And that also shows value to your current customers. So kind of encourages them to remain customer loyal to your brand. Also, if you connect with them, maybe it's more an authentic way, creating that emotional, resonance. So I think businesses will be better positioned in that way than competitors during this time.
Wow.
Thank you.
Good point. Thank you for sharing.
My sister has been working for Hollister for almost a year now, but the brand is quite strong. The brand has gone through a lot of struggles in its own way. So I've been hearing a lot of these stories from her perspective, but it's like getting an email from your favorite brand saying, "Dear Fatma, we know COVID is hard, but in order for you to still be able to shop with us, this is what we recommend. If you need free key resources, if you want to learn more about how to do things with your brand, this is what Hollister has done," for example. So these are things to do for your.
There's a focus on the customer journey still, even with the situation and all that's happening. And I think that's wonderful and to be commended. And to add to the customer journey experience, where does it begin? Not with just that email that you got. It begins with the person sending the email, because what you give to others belongs to you.
Thank you.
Had to put that in there.
But it's also a great example of how brands are active. I mean, during this time. So
it's great.
Thank you.
And behind their purpose. They're behind their purpose.
Things.
I'm gonna have to end the session now. But what I'd like to I mean, I'm so glad that it went up to 1:30. Thank you for everyone that stayed with us, and I hope this was valuable.
Thank you.
Nice meeting everyone.
your comments on
Thank you
everything.
so much. Thank you, Andra PR. You guys are amazing. Thank you for supporting all different people, different industries. I just have to say this, doesn't matter your age generation, doesn't matter your industry, you are there to support, and that has so much value, especially now.
It's definitely our pleasure. Me and Alex have been working on doing this event, and we're going to do more of these, and they're casual. I told people to bring in their colleagues to talk, to be authentic. This is a space where we're all struggling. I'm just gonna, whoever wants to stay just for 2 minutes, maybe an extra 2 minutes, I'm going to give 40 seconds to each speaker really quickly, except Alex, because we're both hosting it, on some of the brands that, some of the services that they're launching for you guys. And they've all started their own consultancies, either whether it's new or upcoming, or whether they've had it for so many years, but they're offering new services as well now for anyone that needs help. I'm going to start with Elizabeth.
Okay, thank you. All right, so my business is called B2 Bloom, and I help individuals and team bloom in their knowledge and ways of working, and also in of course profit and sales. And here I thought I'd focus on. I do a mentoring program for brand leaders in how to sort of lead a team and how to lead a branding team or an innovation team. And I offer an opportunity shooting program if you like, and have a session with me online. I'll send you a start kit of questions that you had to sort of answer and send to me, and then we have a chat on Zoom to help you get going. And the other thing I also can offer is to help you set up a creative collaborative workshop. That's my favorite space to be in, and I can help you in how to structure that if you want to.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. So B2 Bloom is the name of the consultancy. Please go on our Instagram. You'll see all of their programs and how you can connect with all their handles. Luna.
Okay, so I am offering a Kickstart discovery call session, complimentary, to have that real authentic conversation and really know where you stand, what's the outlook like, and what are some possibilities you can look into to moving ahead stronger than ever before. And so just, let us know. I guess, how are they going to communicate with us? They're going to communicate through Andra to let us know whatever you need. But I'm so excited. I'd love to work with any of you.
Of course, I'll share all the details on the event page, and I'll message people if anyone has a message personally for me, I'm going to have my email on the chat as well. You can email me anytime. Paulina, I like your,
yes.
How about you?
Yes, so what I can do, because I'm not fully operating still, I'm on my maternity leave. So, but what can I offer? I can offer 50% of discount for my consultation, one-to-one with the brands. So, yep, feel invited.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. And for the thank you messages on the chat. That's awesome. I'm going to leave it with last comment. Hussein, thank you for being here, first of all. The historic challenge for leaders is to manage the crisis while building the future, by Henry Kissinger. Yes. I think I'm gonna end it with that lovely quote. Thank you so much for everyone. My email is on the chat. I'll send the recorded session, and then if we will hopefully do another session such as this that's more practical and it's going to get people to brainstorm together. I think having a practical session is more fun. And yeah, so thank you all. It's
been wonderful.
And we'll see you all soon.
Take care, amazing. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Blessings, everybody. Blessings.
Bye.
Bye.